What up, Dokkanners? JP received their news for the next Dokkan Festival to be dropping on their side of the game. So where does that leave Global? What is the next unit going to be? When is the announcement going to happen? All of that will be speculated upon in this video because as of right now, nobody knows, but it's very likely we should be getting some sort of news either tonight or tomorrow. This is going to be my final predictions video. I like to do these right before reveals for a couple of reasons. Number one, it gets the conversation going again, but number two, I like to kind of keep myself accountable. I'll make my guess, and then usually later on that day I'll be proven either right or most of the time I'm proven wrong, and it's generally a pretty fun thing to come back to this video and just be like, oops, I'm wrong again, shocker. So that's why we're doing this. Also, I wanted to go a little bit more in detail about my theory regarding the thank you celebration dropping early. There are 3 scenarios that I feel like ultimately could happen, so I just want to discuss all that with you guys. So if you guys are enjoying the channel, you guys enjoy the content, the live streams, the shorts, the videos, make sure you guys hit that subscribe button. I'm trying to hit 90,000 subscribers before the 9-year anniversary, and in just a couple of months there's not going to be Global or JP. It's just going to be Dokkan. So even if you're a JP player, make sure you guys subscribe today because I got you all covered. We got everything here. All right, I've been doing a lot of shorts recently and people have been really liking that, so make sure you guys subscribe today. That being said, let's dive in. When can we expect a reveal? Well, considering that JP just got theirs early morning May 27th my time, then May 27th late night going into May 28th is likely a good time for Global to get some news for the next Dokkan Festival. Could it be TANABATA? Could it be Frieza? Could it be Toppo? Could it be anything? Sure. But as far as timing is concerned, I would be willing to bet it's either tonight or it's tomorrow. So within the next day or two, we should know what's coming up. Rick, one of our local data miners, says that it could potentially happen during maintenance, which is always a possibility as well. They've been actually kind of good about that. When we get maintenance, before all of the data comes in and all the data miners know everything that's coming up, we'll get an announcement, right? So maybe a letter could drop during maintenance. So expect something very, very soon. Now, as far as what we can expect, obvious answers, Frieza. Frieza is the go-to answer. So before we even go into my complex theories, let's just start with the easy one. It could just be Frieza. Why? Because typically this is what happens. But this year's not like every other year since we are approaching full synchro in worldwide download, and that is why a lot of people are very confused on how to fit the various pieces of this ever-changing jigsaw puzzle. But if we were to keep it simple, what is it called? Hakam? Is it Hakam or Akam? Hakam's razor, whatever the hell, however you say that. Sometimes the most simple solution is the right one. It could just be Frieza. I don't know if it's the right one, but Frieza could be the Dokkan Festival, and then part 2 could be Ginyu. That makes the most sense. These are the 2 oldest characters in terms of their respective time slots, so that makes a lot of sense. While JP is going through part 1, Goku Brek, their part 2 will be something new that Global doesn't have yet, but at the same time, Global will have Frieza and Ginyu. Good side, the positive for this is that most people will probably skip and get to save a lot of Dragon Stones. The bad side is we get nowhere in terms of catching up to JP. As of right now, before jumping into this celebration, Global had the one leg up on JP with the Goku Black, but we were still behind on Frieza, we were still behind on Toppo, and then we were also behind on the Ginyu. So 2 Dokkan Festivals and then 1 LR. After we go through this next block here, let's just say we do get the Frieza and the Ginyu, right? That eliminates 1 Dokkan Fest, so we have Toppo. That's all that's left. But then part 2 comes back and we have an LR that we're behind on because JP's part 2 LR will be something pertaining to Goku Black Rose, which Global wouldn't have. So going into 9-year anniversary, Global will be behind 1 Dokkan Festival and 1 luxury LR. Then during the 9-year anniversary, Global will have all the 9-year anniversary stuff, while JP then jumps into the TANABATA celebration, which is another Dokkan Festival LR, and then another luxury LR on top of that in part 2. So coming out of the 9-year anniversary, Global will be even further back than before, being down 2 Dokkan Festivals and 2 legendaries or 2 luxuries. I just want to say luxury instead of saying Carnival and LR, you know, that kind of thing. So let's just keep it simple, luxuries. But then when we go into the pre-Dokkan Festival, pre-worldwide download, the final stop before worldwide, JP gets a new Dokkan Festival and then Global gets Toppo. So at that point, Global is still behind by 2 Dokkan Fests and still behind 2 luxury LRs. So going into full synchro, we will not be in full synchro. So the goal of this jigsaw puzzle is to figure out a way for Global to have everything before we get to this point. Now that is of course operating under the assumption that Global will in fact have everything going into full synchro. I would like to think that we do, because otherwise, why the heck are we calling it full synchro? Well, I'm calling it full synchro because I love Mega Man and I'm trying to get y'all to say it. And a lot of you guys have been saying it, so I appreciate that. But in general, why would we call around summer the date for full synchro? Because they did say this. I pulled up the videos, I pulled up the footage from the past, and they said it was going to be happening around summer. Where is it? Around summer of 2024. Now, to me, you can't say around summer and then not have it be in summer. But content may change without notice. So they've given themselves an out, but I am operating under the assumption that by the end of summer, we would be in full synchro, which means worldwide download. It just makes the most sense. So assuming everything is synced up by then, because that's what they said, character availability schedule, event availability schedule, and more, I feel like this accounts for everything. Assuming all of these are going to be in place, we have to cover those remaining 2 Dokkan festivals and 2 luxuries. So how do we do that? That's why the Frieza theory is the simplest one, but it leaves a lot of complex stuff kind of hanging around. So this is where the early TANABATA theory comes into play. Now, I will admit, okay, while this theory makes sense logistically, it is an absolute disaster in terms of temptation, in terms of Dokkan Festival characters showing up, returning, and all that stuff. It is going to be a general cluster when it comes to all that stuff. I get all that, but I'm talking about logistics. Right now, the goal is to synchronize. In order for that to happen, we have to cram as much as we can in there. And I'm just talking Dokkan Festivals banners and like luxury banners and all that stuff. I'm not even talking about the content. The content will all sort itself out, I would imagine, during the confines of the celebration, but I'm talking about the banners. So here's my theory, and I've been saying this for a little while. What if the pre-9-year Dokkan Festival is the thank you celebration? For Global, it's thank you. For JP, it's TANABATA. Global gets that early, and now once again, Global has something over JP. Meaning after we have the TANABATA or the thank you part 1, and for an unprecedented once in a lifetime opportunity, Global actually gets the part 2 to the thank you in the same celebration. Typically the thank you part 2 happens in the new year. So this time Global would get the thank you part 2 in the part 2 time slot. So now the score would be JP is still up 2 Dokkan festivals. They have the Frieza and the Topo, right? And then as far as the extra LR is concerned, only Ginyu. Right? So now we are down to Ginyu. That's it. Or a Ginyu and the new Goku Black Part 2, whatever that is, right? But then going into the 9-year anniversary, we no longer have to worry about the TANABATA situation, because while Global is catching up on 9-year, JP will be catching up on what Global just had. So while we don't essentially catch up, we do solve that one glaring issue. And then coming out of the 9-year anniversary, Global will be still down 2 Dokkan festivals, plus this new one that JP would get, and then still the 2 luxury LRs. So how do we fix that? This is where the extra wrinkle into the TANABATA theory would come into play. So hear me out. If part 1 is the thank you celebration, and then part 2 is also the thank you part 2, but it also includes whatever the thank you part 2 is, Ginyu, and JP's Goku Black counterpart, whatever that is. So Global would have 3 LRs in this part 2 LR, which is not an uncommon practice for legendary, for LR summons these days. Having 3 units that can awaken into an LR, having all 3 of them in this banner would solve that problem. Now, that sounds absurd, but this whole situation is absurd. So I understand that this might sound crazy. Feel free to chime in the comments down below, but I'm just theorizing because we're trying to figure this out. We got to take care of those extra LRs before we get to worldwide download. So in order to do that, we have to eliminate all luxury summons so that the Dokkan Fests can all be crammed in here. So let's just say, I'm just going to say that the LR for part 2 is going to be Vegeta Blue, okay? I'm just going to say that. Also, my official prediction for TANABATA for thank you is LR Blue Kaioken Goku, because no, I'm just making it up. And the part 2 is LR Hit, okay? So let's just say thank you part 2 is LR Hit. Global would get in their part 2 banner LR Hit, LR Ginyu, and LR Vegeta Blue all in the same banner. Now, this is crazy, but also it would be a good deal. And I would imagine as a business, Dokkan would want to try to tempt players as much as possible to spend as much as they can before a major celebration. That's what they always do. That's why during trap celebrations, they'll throw the extra good deals on the Global side. this would be that good deal. They don't even have to push the stone sales or the tickets. Just by simply having 3 all-star LRs that are new, all on the same banner, it would tempt a ton of players to summon on that banner. And then you go into the 9-year anniversary, and a lot of players are now starving for stones, and they will try to spend more in this game, you know, in the 9-year anniversary. That seems like it's a recipe for good business for Dokkan itself. Obviously for the consumer it sucks, but you get what I mean. So that would solve the luxury LR problem. Then coming out of the 9-year anniversary, Global is simply only behind Frieza and Topo, and then whatever the new Dokkan festival would be. So then when we get to this point, Global would get 3 new Dokkan festivals crammed into one, while JP just gets the one. Either way, both versions are probably going to be skipping this. It's going to be a tougher sell for Global players to skip when it comes to, you know, these catch-up banners, but then we fall in line for worldwide download. So hopefully you guys were able to follow that train of thought. I know it's insane, but that's what it's come to, because we've got less than 4 months to go before the theoretical full synchro, and there's a lot of moving pieces on Global. So I'm sure some of you guys have probably thought about this yourselves. You can understand why, you know, I'm thinking this way. I don't now let me just say, if the thank you celebration were to happen on Global before the 9-year anniversary, it sucks. It sucks from the consumer standpoint, because of the simple fact that Global players are going to be so tempted to summon on this banner. And this is what I was talking about. I've been saying this in videos. I said it again because Truth is also kind of talking about the subject. It would obviously suck for Global to have such a hype unit drop and tempt players before anniversary, but logistically speaking, this makes the most sense. Global needs to be one celebration ahead of JP before the 9th anniversary, so that both versions can end up at the same point going into worldwide download. If that is the end goal, something's gotta give. I'm very nervous about the sync now. Feels like this is going to be a disaster, a legitimate concern, because look at all the hoops that I had to jump through to make this work. Sounds absurd, but you know what? Never apply logic to Dokkan. They could totally do this. It would solve their snooze Dokkan Fest Part 1, Part 2 problem. Free 9-year, this would drive sales like crazy. A lot of players would be struggling going into the 9-year anniversary. They would probably spend more. And then the rest of the Dokkan festivals are covered here. And then we go into worldwide download, and then boom, we're all synchronized. Full synchro has been achieved. Another issue that does come up with this whole thing, and Celtic Guardian brings it up, it's actually the worst thing possible for Global players. I don't know if I'd go that far, but I understand where he's coming from. It means that most players won't see this unit until Saiyan Day. So that's the other major wrinkle that will come about with all of these weird makeshift adjustments that have to happen to accommodate all this. But it's a small price to pay for salvation. If we're going to go full synchro, we have to make concessions. And so one of those things is going to be the convenience and the, I don't know, the regularity of characters showing up at the points that we usually expect. This first year will be a very rushed transition. Once we find that new normal, characters will show up and come back at the appropriate times, and everybody will be on the same page. But this, it's gonna be a mess. Whatever happens, it's gonna be a mess. So after everything that I've said here, I'm sure some of you guys are probably still confused, and you'll probably just say, Toon, it's not that complex, stop yapping, which is fine. This is a theory video, so I'm gonna yap as much as I want. It's gonna be Frieza. That's a very valid theory. After everything that I just said, we're gonna get a letter later on today, and they're gonna just say,
Hey, Frieza's coming up next. Are you happy?
it could totally happen. It's Dokkan, for crying out loud. Never apply logic to Dokkan. Never, 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 never. But hopefully you guys were able to follow that. So once again, my final prediction, no matter what, if the thank you celebration were to come up, it's gonna be LR Blue Kaioken Goku, and then the part 2 will be LR Hito. Why? I don't know. I couldn't think of anything else. Y'all know my crazy theory about worldwide download full synchro being the merging of universes, right? So they're going to celebrate that with the Tournament of Power or some sort of universal conflict theme. So because of that, maybe the Tanabata has something to do with that. Last year, Spirit Bomb GT was 8-year anniversary. The Tanabata LR Super Saiyan 4 Goku. There's some correlation there. So if Blue Kaioken were to be the thank you celebration LR, worldwide download being, oh wait, well, superhero, it still works. It still works with these guys, but maybe there's some, maybe there's some connective tissue to worldwide download. Maybe worldwide download is the connective tissue this time, and not. What was worldwide last year? Oh yeah, it was the Future Saga. Whatever, man. Now I'm actually yapping. I'm gonna stop. Okay, you guys have heard me ramble long enough. Regardless, I'll be happy with whatever happens. If it's thank you, it'll be probably a smoother transition. If it's Frieza, easy skip for a lot of people. If you want to summon, go ahead. Nobody's stopping you. but I just had to share my final thoughts. Guys, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to leave a like down below. Let me know in the comments your thoughts and theories about what is going on global. What do you think could conceivably happen for global to catch up to JP in time for the worldwide download? Did what I say make sense regarding the 2 Dokkan festivals, the 2 luxury units, all having to be crammed in before the trap celebration pre-worldwide? Or do you think there's not, do you think it's not even going to happen? I mean, Truth was kind of nervous about it not even happening. Do you think full synchro will happen by worldwide download, or do you think that there's going to be some lingering after effects with this whole like incursion thing? Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Also, be sure to subscribe for more dope content in the future and click the notification bell so that you know you want to see more of my stuff. Do it. Feel free to come back to this video after we get the reveal for what's coming up next, and feel free to clown on me, you know, respectfully so. And we'll see. Make your own predictions. Feel free to edit them and say you were right, you were wrong. Thank you so much for watching. Stay tuned, and always remember to yap responsibly. That's right.